Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. So today we are going to talk about the term NFT. So I'm sure you guys have heard of NFTs by now. In case you haven't, they're like these little pieces of artwork or pictures on the internet, and some of them they're selling for like millions and millions of dollars, right? So in fact, this piece that you see right here is a piece called Everyday by an artist called Beeple, which sold for a staggering $69 million. Absolutely insane, guys. So it's not just artwork though. You can make an NFT out of anything. So for example, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter and Square, sold his first ever tweet as an NFT, which nabbed a cool $2.9 million. So with all this hype, we're going to go through what NFTs are specifically and why the heck are people paying so much money for them, right? Because I've gotten a lot of people tell me that, oh, they think that NFTs is just a bubble, right? Like, it's crazy how people are paying millions and millions of dollars for what seems like pictures on the internet. So are NFTs actually here to stay? Are they actually like an innovative and transformative technology? Or is it actually just a massive bubble like the Dutch tulips, right? So we're going to explore that topic today, and it should be very interesting. So can't wait to jump in. Let's do that right now. So first of all, before I jump in, I just got to define the term fungibility. So this is central to understanding what NFTs are, okay? So I've talked about this term before on this channel. So just to quickly summarize, an object that is completely interchangeable between itself and another object of the same type, then that object is called, or a group of objects, is said to be fungible. I understand that that's kind of like a convoluted definition, so I'll explain what I mean, okay? So for example, if I have a $1 bill, well then I should be able to exchange that for another $1 bill of the same currency. So given the choice, you would be indifferent. Let's say if I owed you $1, right? You would be indifferent between picking $1, one of the $1 bill or one of the other $1 bills. So NFTs, by contrast, are what we call non-fungible tokens. So as the name suggests, naturally this implies that NFTs are not interchangeable with another NFTs, right? They're not fungible. So an example of this in real life is something that is a collectible, right? So for example, think of anything that people like to collect, like Pokemon cards, like paintings, right? So if you really wanted a painting, well then there is only one original piece, right? So there's only one original piece by the original artist. So if you really wanted that painting, well then you're gonna have to buy it, or everything else is a replica. It's not going to be worth as much. So the crux of the problem is that, let's say if I paid a really talented artist to make a perfect replica of the Mona Lisa. If I hang that replica in my house and tell everyone who comes over that I have the original Mona Lisa, well then no one would believe me, right? So this is because the original is in Paris, right? Or we all kind of know that the original is in a museum in Paris. People are unlikely to assume that the people at the museum are willing to lend the painting to me to hang in my house, right? So yeah, no one would believe me if I claim that I own the original Mona Lisa, but not every piece of art is as famous as the Mona Lisa, right? So for artwork that is not as well known, well then we need to arrive at some sort of consensus which is the original and which is a replica. So what I'm trying to get at is that NFTs are essentially a tool that we can use to differentiate what is the original piece and what is a replica on the internet. The problem with digital files is that they're really easy to copy, right? So if you have a JPEG, you can just take a screen cap of it, or you can hit copy and paste, right? And then you'd have a perfect replica, and you wouldn't have to hire an original or a professional artist to duplicate the original, right? So if I have a JPEG and you copy that JPEG, the two copies will be indistinguishable, as I said. So there will be no way to tell who owns the original and who owns the replica. So this is a problem for digital artists because they work hard to make their art, and anyone could just instantly reproduce a perfect copy of it and plagiarize it, right? So if you're a digital artist and you post your work on the internet, then I can just take a screenshot of it and then I could post it on my blog and say, oh, look, that's mine, right? So yeah, that's a huge problem because it's like on the internet, there's no way to prevent people from doing that, right? But the solution to this potentially is what if we could create a digital token that represents that artwork as sort of a certificate of authenticity that can be traded, right? So for example, this will be like having a certificate of authenticity for just anything else in the physical world, right? So if you have like a one-of-a-kind Pokemon card, or if you have one-of-a-kind painting, right? So you can get it certified and you can get it get a certificate of authenticity for it, and then as long as you have that certificate, then you can prove that you're the original owner. And this is a concept that a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their minds around because people are just like, oh, why would I pay $1 million just to like have a JPEG, right? So you're not actually buying the JPEG, you're actually buying that certificate of authenticity. So what I have to say to that is that the precise issue that NFTs are trying to solve in the first place is that you're not paying $1 million for a copy that's like a JPEG. You're paying $1 million to prove, for the ability to prove that you own the artwork. So that's what NFTs are. They're provable ownership of something. So I know this whole craze of NFT seems like a huge bubble, and I do agree that this is heavily kind of based off of FOMO, where people just rush in and they try to make a quick buck, right? People try to flip NFTs. I do agree that that is part of what's happening, but in the long term though, I don't think that NFTs are going away. Because this is sort of a breakthrough technology as well. It's provable ownership on the internet. So we may eventually see some price correction when the hype dies down a bit. But long term, I think that, in my opinion, NFTs will stay around. This is because if you just look at how big the collectible and art market is, I don't even know off the top of my head how big the collectible and art market is. It's got to be in the multi-billion dollars per year range, right? So as the old saying goes, software is eating the world. So I'm sure you've heard of that term before if you've just interacted with anyone from like Silicon Valley, or if you're a tech person, or if you pay attention to the tech news in general. The phrase is software is eating the world, and this is exactly what they mean, right? So software or digital formats, digital mediums are eating physical things, and physical things are starting to move towards the digital space. So when I think of NFTs right now, it's mainly used for arts and collectibles, and digitizing arts and collectibles, but I actually think that that's not even the whole story, right? So NFTs can actually be used for other stuff as well. So for example, for another use of NFTs is theft prevention of expensive products. And what I mean by that is that let's say you're buying, I don't know, a Rolex, right? So every time you buy a Rolex, they also gave you an NFT with the serial number of the Rolex on it. So if your watch ever gets stolen, well then you can report it as missing, and whoever stole it, they don't have your NFT, so they would have a much harder time selling it, because if they try to sell it, well then everyone would know that they stole it, right? Because they don't have the NFT. So I would imagine that this would vastly reduce the market value for stolen goods because there will be a lot less buyers willing to buy something that they know is illegal, that they know is stolen, right? And they don't want to take the risk of running into trouble with the law for buying a stolen item. And if they're caught with a stolen item, the law enforcement would just confiscate it so they lose all their money. And law enforcement would also be very easily able to prove in court that that thing was stolen. Right? So there are also like so many other things that you can do with NFTs that we haven't really fully fleshed out yet. And I do think that this space is just getting started. So of course, you're going to see the price of certain NFTs skyrocket because of FOMO or whatever, and more people are trying to like pile into it. But you also might see the space develop into like a lot more real world uses as people slowly start to realize how much potential this technology can bring. So I don't know, these are just my 2 cents, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are NFTs a huge bubble, or do you think that this tech is actually bringing like a lot of real world uses and a lot of value to society? I'd love to hear what you think. So I'll leave the video here. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you like the series. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below in the description as always. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.